Good morning. This is John Mulligan with Action Coach, and today I am joined by Belinda Cunningham of Flowers by Francis. Welcome, Belinda.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, it's fabulous. So Belinda and I are in the same BNI group. We're in BNI Success Alliance in Dunedin, Florida, and Belinda is a florist in Clearwater. So why don't you get started by giving us a little history about how you got into the floral business?
Well, thank you so much, John, for having me.
You're welcome.
Got started in the flower business in 1989. My parents moved to the U.S. And at that time, on a business visa, you had to pay a certain amount of money to buy a business to
Mhm.
stay in the country. And unbeknownst to me, she bought a flower shop off of Keene Road, and that kind of set the tone for um, being a florist.
All right, that's fabulous. And then now, how long? I know, unfortunately, your mother's passed away. How long have you
Yes.
had the company by yourself?
Well, we worked together off and on really since 1990, even though I was up north, and she was mainly uh, taking care of the business.
Mhm.
We were partners from 2017 when the business name changed. And then in 2021, after she passed, well, prior to her passing, I took over the business solely.
Okay. So yeah, it was going to actually be my next question. So you are the sole owner of this. You don't have any partners or anything, right?
No, sir. No, I do
Okay.
not.
All right, great. And then roughly how many employees do you have?
Roughly, I have 5 to 6 employees.
Okay, and that probably varies depending on the type of work you're doing, right?
Yes, that varies.
So a lot of business owners, especially those who are relatively new to entrepreneurship, find that they don't have enough time in their day. Is that also your experience?
Yes, there's not enough time in the day to get everything done. So you
Mhm.
have to set priorities and also not focus on so much getting 20 things done. You have to focus on getting maybe 2 or 3 things done and, evening those out through the week.
Right, right, absolutely. And what is your well, as you've gone through this journey of business ownership, what have been some of the most memorable roadblocks? And then we'll get to the good stuff in a minute. But what are some of the things that have kind of tripped you up along that journey?
Memorable roadblocks. Oh, wow, there's been quite a few. um, I would say I always say we're a small family owned and operated business,
Hmm.
and that makes it hard when you're competing against corporations that have billions of dollars that have invested into the floral industry.
Hmm.
That's been continuous, I would say, over the last 15 years. And it's also gotten harder with, expense, and everything is higher
Hmm.
and having to pay more money for product. So that's something that I'm always working on daily.
Okay, good. And I know there's a lot of competition in the floral business. I mean, how many,
Yes.
just in Clearwater alone, roughly, how many florists are there?
From what I understand, between 20 to 30
Right,
florists
right.
in the Clearwater area.
So what are some things that you do that differentiates you from all the other florists that are out there?
Number one would be the quality of the product.
Mhm.
80% of this business is how the product is preserved before it goes out the door. And then you also have to remember the person that's receiving the flowers, they would like to keep the flowers as long as possible. They have to stay fresh. I think I guarantee is between 7 to 10 days.
Wow.
So that's you're looking at a 2 to 3 week time frame from the time the flowers come in, processing time, designing, delivering, and then reaching the customer or the client and then having a positive experience. They don't want flowers that die after one day. And
Right.
I think that's one of the big things that we do. We have a very strict processing guideline that I have with all of the staff. They know exactly what has to be done,
Mhm.
and there's processes and procedures that are put into place for that. I would say that that is the number one thing in the floral, and the number one thing that sets us apart from other florists.
So you would tell me probably, hey, John, don't go to Publix and buy those florals, those flowers out of the bin, right? So why is
Yes.
that?
Well, that is because and Publix, I cannot compete with Publix pricing. That is
Mhm.
realistic. However, you can go to Publix and buy a dozen roses for 19.99. But when you get them home, they're not going to last maybe I would say a day or two
Hmm.
because they have not been processed correctly. They're not in water. They don't use the uh, floral uh, powders that we use.
Hmm.
They don't recut the flowers. They don't look at the flowers really. They're more like the flowers come in, they're put out, and then people pick them up. There's no processing that's involved.
Right.
Um,
So the key is that you're providing process, or you're providing value to your customers through the processing, and obviously it's worth the extra expense to do that, right?
yes, yes, and obviously it is going to cost more, but you get a quality product, um, and you also get that local family business experience that you would not get with Sam's Club or Publix or Costco, even
Okay.
though those they are available there.
Sure. So who do you primarily serve? Like, who are your typical customers?
Well, the surrounding area, as
Hmm.
well as we deliver the areas that we deliver to are pretty wide. Safety Harbor, Oldsmar, Tarpon Springs. On the St. Pete side, it's Seminole. Some areas of St. Pete, Pinellas Park, Largo, uh, all of the Clearwater area. So we do deliver a wide range of places.
Hmm.
So I my client could be anybody from wanting something for an anniversary or a birthday gift to a wedding, or unfortunately, which is a big part of our business, somebody's passed away
Hmm.
and they need flowers either sent to the home or something for the funeral service.
Okay. So obviously weddings are something that people plan very far in advance, and
Yes,
funerals are not typically.
yes,
So
yes.
when somebody is looking to do a wedding, what's the typical time frame that you would expect to see somebody come to visit you?
I work with brides a year out,
Hmm.
um, with the understanding that pricing can fluctuate,
Hmm.
but I can help them because sometimes, a lot of times, brides change their mind uh, with not a whole lot of notice, and that's understandable because they
Hmm.
see something that they would rather have
Hmm.
because of Pinterest and magazines and event planners and things like that.
Hmm.
They do change their mind. So I would say I can work with them up to a year out. That especially if it's a large wedding, because there is a lot that's involved in
Hmm.
that, and there's a lot of people I have to work with, not just the internal staff. I have to work with the venue, the event planner if there is one, the bride, and also the person who's paying for the wedding as well, of course.
Right.
So I would say a year out, I can definitely work with you. Um, doesn't mean to say that we're going to have everything. Everything's not going to be locked up until 30
Right.
days prior to the wedding.
Sure. Well, and speaking of venues, I know you had a very interesting wedding this past weekend. Where was that? What was that venue? Just so people understand that the venue doesn't have to be what you think it is. What was that venue you went to in Clearwater this weekend?
I went to two venues this weekend
Very true.
actually. I went to Thonasassa,
Which
which
is
is
very far
out
away for those of you who don't live
which
here.
is a little far, but that hey, we do go there. We
Yeah.
will go there. I had a large wedding there. And also we went to Clearwater Beach. We did a wedding on the Starship. And I have done weddings there before, and it seems like a popular uh, venue for brides to get married.
Yep.
And that's down on Clearwater Beach.
So, and for those of you that don't know, Starship is a boat. So
Yes,
it's
I'm sorry.
actually,
Yes,
yeah.
it's a
So,
Starship is a boat. Yes,
so yeah, it's
a beautiful boat.
it is a very
Beautiful
nice
boat.
boat. Yes.
Yes,
So it turns out people do weddings, and Belinda will deliver to the boat as well. Um,
yes, I do.
So let's talk a little bit about marketing. What are some of the strategies that you use for marketing? And I don't know, off the top of your head, if you know the number, what's a rough percentage of revenue that you typically dedicate towards marketing?
I would say maybe 10%, five between 5 and 10%
Okay. Hmm.
towards marketing.
Hmm.
I should maybe do more. We'll have to talk about that offline, John.
So, okay, so about 10%. Good. What is do you know of all the marketing strategies you're using? What are some of the more effective ones that you're using?
I have to say the number one is Google.
Okay.
That is the number one. Every time somebody comes in or we gain a new customer or client, I ask them, where did you find me? and Google is the number one, especially if somebody is trying to find a florist and they're driving around.
Hmm.
They will go in and search florists in Clearwater,
Hmm.
and hopefully I come up. Yes, I do. They
Yes, you
tell
do.
me
Yeah.
that. They tell me that Google really is the number one. So that's the main focus is on Google reviews
Hmm.
and new customers and posting to Google as well.
Okay. Okay. So then once somebody finds you on Google, what's kind of the sales process? I know there's multiple, right? So the funeral home is just kind of unique. I mean, people typically, well, I ask you this question because I don't know. Do people typically call you directly or do they get the referral through a funeral home?
No, they get the referral through the funeral home
Okay.
because the funeral home, depending on the specific funeral home, if they are working with the family
Hmm.
regarding services, the family will ask, "Can you recommend a florist?" Or we have books in with certain funeral homes that have our books with pricing
Hmm.
that I work directly with those funeral homes,
Okay.
and so it's I would say 90%, 98% based on referral.
Right, right. Okay, good. So that kind of leads me to the sales. So what's kind of the sales process? Typically somebody, well, I guess they could call your floral shop, but I know you also do this online sales, right? Talk to me a little bit about the different ways somebody can actually purchase from you and what's the sales process?
Okay, I have a website,
Hmm.
www.floralsbyfrancis.com,
Okay.
that has a lot of information. It has funeral pieces. I have a little bit of information on wedding, but not so much because I just give them like a starting point,
Hmm.
and then they can contact me directly because it is a long process. There's a lot of questions I have to answer that I can't put out on the website,
Sure.
and there's a lot that goes into it. Funerals is a little bit different. If they don't want to work with me directly, they can go to the website
Hmm.
and they can order for the specific service or to have something sent to the family.
Hmm.
Uh, Most of the time, a referral, they will come into the shop and ask to speak with myself or the manager,
Hmm.
and then, or they will call and we will talk them through the process, ask them what they're looking for, colors, price range, and then we just go from there.
All right. And I think I learned something from talking to you earlier. So if I wanted to send flowers to somebody out of state, I don't necessarily have to go to one of those national websites. I could actually call you too. Is that right?
Yes, we partnership with FSN, which is a florist service
Hmm.
online,
Hmm.
and they work. I actually have a client that his wife is currently in China right now, and
Hmm.
we have wired out a lot of arrangements out of the country.
Hmm.
I've done also Australia and Germany because my daughter-in-law is in Germany. So yes, it's better. What you would do is contact me and let me know what you would like to order, and I will reach out to a local florist in the area, and they will deliver the product.
Okay.
It would be the same as if I would be delivering here.
Gotcha. Okay, good.
Yep.
Now let's shift a little bit over to like team members. So I know you've got a team working for you. How would you describe your leadership style as the owner of the business? And has it changed over the years as you've progressed throughout the business?
It has definitely changed. You have to change. There's you can't do what you did. I can't do what my mother did back in 1995.
Right.
The economy has changed. How people view a florist, weddings, funerals, things have changed.
Hmm.
Budget, things like that. So everything has changed. So you have to move. I feel like I have to continuously move with the times, think about different ways of getting business,
Hmm.
and I work with my team on, so my team, as far as the design, they have to work on keeping up with the latest design and not doing something from 19 or 2001.
Right.
And then my leadership style, I would say, has changed. I think it depends on what the situation is. I have certain strict criteria, like processing flowers. If that's, obviously, if that's not done to the best of the ability, we'll have a discussion.
Yep.
But also understanding the fact that I have to be the person that sets the example
Hmm.
for the others to follow. But
Okay.
I'm very grateful and blessed. I have a small team, but I have a fantastic team.
Excellent. So speaking of changing things changing over time, what kind of a training program does either new person go through, or how does your team keep up to speed on what the changes in the industry are?
Well, I do have some written guidelines on processing and
Hmm.
cleaning because that really is, again, 80 to 90% of the business. Everything has to be clean.
Right.
Everything has to be reprocessed. It's not just the flowers, but buckets have to be bleached, for an example. So this is every 3 to 4 days.
Okay.
So depending on how many flowers are in the cooler and what we're doing. So what will happen is somebody will come in. It depends on the position they're holding. If right now we have a student and she works 2 to 3 days a week, and she works with the manager and myself, and it takes time. She's not going to learn it in 1 week. I would say it takes about 3 to 6 months of doing it every week, to where she'll become familiar. But it's repetition, right? It's doing the same thing over and over. But there are certain criteria, like for example, tall flowers go in tall buckets.
Hmm.
Otherwise the heads will snap.
Oh, okay.
Things like that.
Okay.
So things right now she's doing very well, but it does take time, especially if you've
Sure.
never done it and you haven't had the experience.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So let's look toward the future here. So where do you see yourself in 5 or 10 years?
Sleeping. No, I'm just kidding. No, 5 to 10 years. I mean, my goal is to definitely get more business, more weddings. The bigger weddings is where we shine.
Hmm.
Um, Probably getting better known in the Tampa area. I
Okay.
am known, but I'm in Clearwater, so it makes it difficult. Some brides are not going to cross the bridge to come and see me.
Yes.
They'll go to a high-end florist in Tampa.
Hmm.
So I also want to, like I went to Thonasassa, I want to get my name out there more, and so that people know what we can do. Because I have some very talented designers that have been doing this for a while. So my goal is really to work more with the weddings and the funerals. I know it's opposite ends of the spectrum, but also to keep uh, gaining new clientele, new
Yeah.
customers, because they are repeat customers and they keep coming back time and time again, and that is the best.
That's perfect. Now, I've actually, so for the audience, I've met one of her designers. I've met several of them. One of them, and
Yes,
I'm not making this up, her name is actually Rose. So you could not have a better name to work in a floral shop. So
yes.
what is this business? So if you think about business ownership, what do you see as business owner? What are the advantage of business ownership versus being an employee somewhere else?
Well, I think that there's advantages and disadvantages, to be
Okay.
honest. There is a lot of pressure,
Hmm.
obviously. I'm responsible that the staff get paid on time, that flowers are ordered, that customers are happy.
Hmm.
But I think that it's very rewarding to see the fruits of your labor, and
Hmm.
that is the end result. That is the customer being happy, whether it's a wedding, a funeral, an anniversary, a birthday, a party, a corporate event. That is the most rewarding thing for me as a business owner.
Okay, great. And then, we all at some point have to exit the business. So, and you received this one from your mom. Have you thought about what the long-term strategy is for this?
No, we'll be talking offline. Action coach, right?
Exactly.
Yes, I mean, I think about it, but I guess I say I try not to.
Mhm.
I wouldn't say I try not to. I do think about it. I try to be realistic. I would say what you just said, 5 to 10 years, definitely need to have some exit strategy.
Mhm.
We'll see. The kids are not around, so I don't
Right.
know what the answer would be to that, to be
Okay.
honest.
All right. So, a couple quick questions here as we get close to the end here. So, what do you
Yes.
see as the key to success for you?
Mm. The key to success: honesty,
Hmm.
doing what you say you're going to do,
Okay.
producing, fair pricing, um, and just being myself, not trying to be somebody else.
Yep.
We design a certain way. We're not changing that.
Hmm.
I'm not going to be copying other florists. We are our own independent organization, and
Hmm.
I think it's working well for us this
Okay.
way.
So, if you were to give advice to any other business owners, what would that be?
Don't open up a flower shop.
It's a tough
Uh,
business. I know,
it's
right?
it's a very tough business, but it's very rewarding. I really advice: be consistent, stick with it,
Hmm.
never give up.
Okay. All right, good.
Yes,
And then a little fun question. So if I could give you a little
yes.
bag of fairy dust to sort of sprinkle over your business, and everything would be all great, where would you sprinkle that fairy dust?
Where would I sprinkle it?
Yeah. What
Like
would
in
be
the
the
shop?
Yeah, like what's the one part of your business that if you could just, use your magic wand or fairy dust it, boom, it would just be that's where you would dedicate it. Where would you
Cash
put it?
flow.
Cash flow? Right. Okay.
Yeah. Hey,
Perfect.
that's
Yeah,
being
yeah,
real, right?
yeah,
Cash flow.
absolutely.
I think a lot of business owners can relate.
Absolutely. All
Yes.
right. So as we wrap up, just tell us a little bit again, how do we find you? You mentioned, so you're on Drew Street in Clearwater. So what's
Yes.
your address over there? And then what's your website again?
The address is 2087 Drew Street,
Hmm.
Clearwater, Florida, 33765. My website is www.florals by Frances, and that's FRANCES.com. Our shop phone number is 727-210-3434, and
All
you
right.
can reach me at any time.
Fabulous. All right. Well, thank you, Belinda. I appreciate your time today. Thank you for
Thank you
coming
so
on.
much for having me, John. I
Yep.
appreciate it so much.
Well,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Yep. And this is
Thank
again, this is
you.
John Mulligan with Action Coach, and thanks for listening to our podcast today. Thanks, everybody.